Okay, good. Right, Shalom Aleichem, welcome back. So we're up to Mem Gimel. Only a couple of more simonim of Hilchos Tefillin, and then we move on to Hilchos Birchas Hashacha and other things. So we're right at the very end of Hilchos Tefillin. So Simon Mem Gimel. Din Eich Lehisnaig B'Tefillin Be'Konsel Beis HaKisei. How to behave when you're wearing tefillin and you're going into the bathroom. Remember, in the days of old, people would wear their tefillin all day, and you'd go into bathrooms, so things have changed. A, we don't wear tefillin all day. B, the bathrooms we have nowadays are very different to the bathrooms of old. So we have to bear that in mind as we go through these halachas. So, Sif Aleph. Also, lekones lebeis hakisei kavua. It's forbidden for a person to go into a kavua beis hakisei, lahashtin, to urinate, but tefillin shebereish. If you're still wearing tefillin shebereish, Gezeira shemiyase bohem tzrachov. Gezeira that he might come to defecate, to use the bathroom for gedolim. But if he's not wearing the tefillin, but rather he's just holding them, mutal ahashtin bohem bebeis hakisei kovua. He's allowed to be mashtin, to urinate in beis hakisei kovua. Okay, says the Mishnah Berurah. Let's just do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Lahashtin. Hamogen Avram b'sif kotzen tes kosov. The mashakosov ha'mechaber lahashtin. When the mechaber says that it's also to be mashtin l'revusa nokat, zafilu lahashtin, even to be mashtin. Afapi shehu chayev shel adam. That's the normal, activity of a human being. Also likones, it's also for him to go in. The kolshkein shel tzarech and kolshkein. If just thumb to go in where we're wearing tefillin. Now, just by the way, if you look at footnote number 1, an important point in the Dirshu note number 1, someone who takes off his tefillin, he needs the bathroom in the middle of Shacharis, you take off your tefillin, and then you go to the bathroom in the middle of davening, and then you come back out and you put your tefillin on again. Do you or do you not make a bracha? So we said, even if you know that you're going to put them straight back on after you've been to the bathroom, nevertheless, you have to make a bracha, since that it's forbidden to wear tefillin in the bathroom, and therefore there's a forced break, and therefore you have to put them on. Mashen kein talis. The mashenkein talis, the minhag is you take your talis off before you go to the bathroom. But the truth is, strictly speaking, you can go in with the talis, and therefore it's not considered the same, and therefore it's not considered the forced break, and therefore you would not make a bracha when you put your talis on, but you would make a bracha when you put tefillin on. Okay, carrying on the Mishnah Berurah, Sifkot and base, but tefillin shebereisha. Who adin de bezroya nami asa mehai taima. The truth is also to go into the bathroom with your tefillin shel yad. And the only reason why I mentions dafka tefillin sharosh is limute im eichsen biyodai, to exclude if you are holding the tefillin in your hand. Biyodai. So we said that if you're holding the tefillin sharosh biyodai, we said the mechaber says mutala hashtin bohem bebeis hakisei kavua. You are allowed to urinate. Biyodai says the Mishnah Berurah rotzolema, but big day. You're holding the tefillin sharosh, but big day over yad yaminai. Connected liboy, commercial cost of besifhe. You hold them securely. Okay, now let's do the Ramah. Says the Ramah, Hagah. Dahainu davka kshemashtin meyushav. Now we're talking specifically where the person is urinating in a sitting down position. The leka lemechish lenitzoitzos, where there's no splashing, there's no splashback, which would happen if a person is mu'umad, if a person is standing. Avol mashtin mu'umad, but if a person is standing, pshita de osa. Then it's also for him to go in with the tefillin sharosh and holding the tefillin sharosh. That's no different, it's no better than a beis hakisei arai, than a temporary one. And so the same is true if a person is mashtin sitting down, or if there is ground which is ofar tichuach, where the earth is going to absorb the liquid, and therefore there's no nitzotzos. And I would imagine that who are in urinals today, if they've got that little sort of the plastic part thing which sort of prevents splashback, in the stomach it's the same din. But beis hakisei ari nami shari, then a beis hakisei ari would also be allowed. Ve'ein chiluk ben kevel ari in zeh, ela de beis hakisei kovua Mistama Oisa Tzarchav Miyoshav. It's just that in a Beis HaKisei Kavua back in the day, you would do Oisa Tzarchav Miyoshav, a Beis HaKisei Arai. It's just a temporary thing. You just find a tree somewhere in the field or whatever it is. Mistama Oisa Mu'umad. Mistama person would use that Mu'umad standing up. However, in the Nifna Legedolim, they wouldn't use it Legedolim. Okay, let's just do the Mishnah Berurah till there. Daled Pshita Da'asa. We're talking about ba'ichzin biyadai. Now, what's the problem? Shemi yikaneach hanitzaitzais. Because if there's going to be some splash of the urine against the person, he needs to wipe it off. V'uadin kashem reisha also, and if you're holding your tefillin, that's going to be a problem. V'uadin kashem reisha also, and so too if you're wearing the tefillin sharosh, the concern also is maybe a person will sit down and he might come to do tzarchav, which is a problem when if he's wearing his tefillin sharosh. Tichuach, if it's a slope, right? There's no. The Gemara talks about that. If it's on a hill or something, and the urine is going to sort of slope away from him, there's no concern about this sort of splashback. Nami shari. Nami shari, what's the lashon? This is going on. Yeah, the Beis HaKisei Ari Nami shari. Beis HaKisei Ari would also be okay. Mikol Mokum Yesh Chiluk Ksas. However, says the Mishnah, there is a small difference between them. The Bekeva, between a Beis HaKisei Ari and a Beis HaKisei Keva. The Bekeva Yesh Chashash Shemeyas Tzorchav. If it's a fixed Beis HaKisei, the concern is that you go in lasos to be mashtin, and you might come to do tzarchav to use it properly to defecate. And therefore, it's got to be the tefillin's got to be sort of wrapped up in your clothes or in between your hands, etc. But a Beis HaKisei Arai afilu biyad levad nami mutar bazeh. To go in and just to hold your tefillin whilst you're urinating, that would be okay. In a situation where there's no chashash of nitzaisos. Okay, carrying on the mechaber. I'm 4 lines down. Ubeis hakisei arai mutar lahashtin behem kashem bereishay. A beis hakisei arai, it's mutar to be mashtin if you're wearing the tefillin sharosh. Imagine you're walking, right? And back in the day, you're wearing tefillin all day. You need the bathroom, so you're going to go behind a tree somewhere. So then that would be okay to keep the tefillin sharosh on. Avalim oichsen biyadei also lahashtin behem mu'umad. But if you're holding the tefillin, then it would be also to mashtin mu'umad. Even if you're holding on to them, because you need your hands to wipe away any splash which goes to your feet. What should you do? Take your tefillin off arba amas away from where you're going to go to urinate. Get your friend to hold them for you. According to the Rambam, it would be also to urinate when you're still wearing your tefillin sharosh. Whether it's kavua or whether it's arai. One should be choshesh for the shit of the Rambam. Okay, turning back to the Mishnah Berurah, Sifkot and Zayin, the Beis HaKisei Arai, because in the Beis HaKisei Arai, we're not choshesh that the guy is going to be use them to defecate, because this is just sort of a very temporary Beis HaKisei. He's got to just be careful not to try and pass wind. We're worried that he'll rub away the nitzaitzis, the splash, the same hand where he's holding his tefillin, and that's considered inappropriate. Sifkat and Tes, Cholzen Berichuk. So what do? You take your tefillin off 4 amas away from where you're going to urinate. Ein Mogen Avram Shekosov the Mashekosah Mechaber Mitchila Osel Hashtim Boy Meumad. When the Mechaber started off and said you're not allowed to urinate when your person is standing up, wearing the tefillin, Mari Bein Ba'arai Bein B'Kavua. That doesn't make a difference if it's a Beis HaKisei Kavua Urare. That is talking about a Beis HaKisei Kavua to Ibe Beis HaKisei Arai, because if it was a Beis HaKisei Arai, Cholet to Mashtin Alta, you don't have to wait Daladamas. You can just take your tefillin off and just be mashtin straight away. V'chein kosav ataz. L'chaveira, you give them to your friend. Why not yourself? Why can't you hold them? Because you yourself can't hold them if you're urinating. After marbe kavua, even if it's a beis hakisei kavua, or kamuva lekam b'sif hey the yechus v'vigda b'yodoi, kiven demari b'mashtin mu'umad v'chashin shem mishum netzoitzos. Because we're talking about a situation where you're standing up and we're worried about netzoitzos. If I'm not mistaken, netzoitzos, the problem is that what exactly is the issue? Okay, so so I think the Gemara says that the problem is that a person might think a person is krus shifcha, that he is actually unable to, he's got some sort of biological deformity or in some way, and he can't father children, and therefore there'll be motzi laws against his own children, that these aren't his children. So it's an interesting, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's what the Gemara says. Okay, Yud Aleph, Sif Katan Yud Aleph, Kashen Bereishay. So Osher Lahashtin Kashen Bereishay, says the Mishnah Berurah, V'hu adin bezroya, and so too the Tefillin shel Yad, the Sfir lei de gazrin shemeyafiach bohem, because we're worried that a person may pass wind, avol kashem bekisson v'eichiz akis, but if they're in the bag and he's holding the bag, then mutter lahashtin bohem ledirakol, then it'll be mutter to urinate. Shekashem bekisson ein issa b'hafacha, because if they're in the bag, then there's no issa against passing wind holding the tefillin which are in a bag, which is by b'simon mem dalet, like which is in the next simon. Lidvarav, we've got to be cheshish for the shit of the Rambam. Well, Eis HaTzoyrech, says the Mishnah Berurah in your base, Kagoyin, she's batla lidei zem et tefillah b'tzibur. If it means you're going to be missed tefillah b'tzibur, yochel lismech adayit de rishayna. One can rely on the first opinion. Ach she'izoh harbesh le'yover lidei hafacha. We've got to be very careful not to try and pass wind. V'chein kos v'chaya odom. Mikol mokum nagin lachlis hasharosh. The minhag, however, is to take off the shalrosh. V'gam hashel yad, nochon lahasir haratzuas, mikaf hayad shelo l'shavshef han letzotzos bohem. And the minhag is not only to take off the shalrosh, but also to undo the wrappings, the retzuas, which are around the hands of the shel yad. Not to actually take off the shel yad, just to undo the wrappings around the hand. Okay, weiter. Sif beis. Beis hakisei kovua. If it's a permanent beis hakisei hainu, sheyesh boi tzoya. Now again, we're Baruch Hashem living in a world in the 21st century where there are efficient plumbing system, and thank God all the tzar is washed away very quickly. But back in the day, where you have a beis hakisei kavua, then you're going to have tzar there. So says the Mechaber, beis hakisei kavua, hainu sheyesh bo tzaya, there is excrement there. V'hu al pnei hasoda beloy chafira, which is in the field without having been sort of covered over with you haven't dug it and covered it over. Says the Mishnah Berurah, beloy chafira, rotzolema. In such a situation where you've got a field and there is sir there which hasn't been covered over, so then you've got to take off your tefillin 4 amas away. But if it's dug, so there's a little pit or something, so that is a rishus la'atzmai, or beis hakisei shlemala rishus la'atzmai, and the beis hakisei above it is a rishus la'atzmai. And therefore it hasn't got a din of a beis hakisei at all. And therefore that would be mutter to go into it with its tefillin that he's wearing. But before a person actually urinates, then he would take them off. Like with any other beis hakisei kavua. When is this true? But lahashtin, avalas sarchov, but to defecate, mashma di Rabbi Yosef diyesh lahachmir lachlos berichud aladamas. That everyone agrees. The Beis Yosef says that you should be machmir to take the tefillin off in the richud aladamas in mokum sherut to las sarchov, from where you're going to use the bathroom. Avol afilu nifne b'mokum she'en beis hakisei klal. Even if you're being mafne, you're defecating in a place which isn't actually the beis hakisei, ela b'chat seira pnei hasoda, wherever you happen to be. Okay, Gimel. Beis hakisei arai. A person uses a temporary bathroom, kagoin, lahashtin mayim, to urinate. She'ein odom holich b'shvilim beis hakisei. He's not going specially to beis hakisei. He'll go to behind a tree somewhere. V'hapam hazois nasa mokum hazeh beis hakisei tchila. And for this occasion, it's being used as a beis hakisei. Says the Mishnah Berurah, beis hakisei yudaled, sifkot yudaled, pirush. Ha da'amrinan le'el, de'mut lahashtin b'betfilin shebereishay. That which we said that you're allowed to be mashtin with tefillin shebereish, hainu b'makom she'en bo tzoya. That's where in a place where there is no tzoya. V'gam hu makom she'en regilin lefanasham, and you don't regularly go there. U'lekach lo gazrinon, and therefore we don't make a gezerah Shema yiponim tefillin. Maybe he'll defecate when he's got tefillin on. Va'afilu mokum tzanua, even if it's a mokum tzanua. Beis hakisei tchila. I'm a prima godim the svirelei the holish lav dafka. This expression is lav dafka. Va'afilu miyuchud mikam zmanim. Even if it's used several times, that particular place hasn't got a din of a beisat kisei kavua. Okay, let's just do one more. Daled imheim becheikai. Let's say that a person's holding his tefillin, or he's holding them or they're wrapped, or something like that. Then it'll be mutter bein lahashtin bein lefonas. So if it's going into a bathroom and holding them in that way, that would be mutter. Says the Mishnah Berurah Daled Sifkot and Tezayin imheim becheikai desu lek lemechish mishum nitzaisis. Because now in that situation they're all wrapped up. We're not worried about nitzaisis. V'gam mishum shema yiplu mimenu. Nor are we worried that they might fall from him. Umutter bein beis hakisei kavua bein ba'arai. That's strange because in Sif Aleph we said that if he's holding them, then it would be Osa. They struggle with this because we said originally that if you're holding them, that it's a problem. This actually says that this Sif is the opinion of the Baal HaTruma, says the Gon. Who argues with the Shitta in Sif Aleph, was Svirlei, and the Sefer HaTruma says that once the tefillin are wrapped up or they're behind your clothes, then we're not worried about shivshuf and nitzitzes. But if they're sort of wrapped up and they're tied to your begodim, they're not going to fall, then the kula alma will be mutter. Okay, Peseda, we'll leave it there.